Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
We're back for another episode of Champions, presented by Signature Championship Rings. And today we focus on installation as we head into our spring and summer football. Now that's different around the country. Some schools don't have spring ball, but they can do things in the summer and vice versa. But we're going to get into some ideas whenever you install that will help you move from this phase where we were doing a ton of strength and conditioning, a lot of off-field things, moving into our well-structured installation templates and maximizing our learning efficiency. And the episode's going to focus on how top coaches organize and teach offensive, defensive, and special team systems to ensure that their players are clear on exactly what they want and that they retain this as they move forward towards the season. Joining me today, we have 3 state champions from around the country. Mark Spader is the head coach of the Bowling Green Purples, the Kentucky Class 5A state champion. John Hart is the head coach of the Brownsburg Bulldogs, the Indiana Class 6A state champion. And John Merritt is the head coach of the Smet Jesuit Spartans, the Missouri Class 6 state champion. Guys, it's great to have you here on the podcast. I really appreciate your time and sharing some insights into what you guys do for your installations. I just wanted to make sure our listeners learned a little bit about you. So we'll go in alphabetical order here and start with Coach John Hart in Brownsburg High School. Coach Hart, thanks for taking the time. We'd love to hear about your program.
Been at Brownsburg for 9 years. We're a school of about 3,500, building some incredible facilities. Hopefully by July 1 we'll be in them. But we hadn't won a state championship in 40 years. 9 years. I've been here 9 years. We've had a lot of kind of close calls, great teams. Won a state championship at Warren Central, previous stops, and at Evansville Wrights. So our teams have had a lot of consistency, a lot of success. We think 90% of our success is what we do in the offseason.
Coach Merritt from Smet Jesuit High School. Coach, welcome to the podcast. Let us know a little bit about your program.
Oh, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Smet Jesuit, all-boys Catholic school in St. Louis, Missouri. We got about 750 boys here. It's a wild time, I'll tell you that. They get after it. Our guys love playing, and we've been here as a staff. Just finished our 3rd season. Won a state championship at the other spot at John Burroughs. Had been there 10 years before coming over here, my 3rd at Smet. We've been very consistent here at Smet Jesuit since I've been here. 2 Final Four appearances and then a state championship we pushed through in the 3rd year. And again, I'll agree with Coach Hart. Much of what we do is done in the off season. We think our preparation is what really gets us there.
Coach Mark Spader, the head coach of the Bowling Green Purples in Kentucky, the 5A state champion. Coach, welcome to the podcast. Let us know a little bit about your program.
Well, once again, thanks for having us on. I'm very fortunate. I started my coaching career at this place in 1991. There's a legendary Kentucky coach, Dan Haley, that was there at the time. Bowling Green had struggled for years. We've been playing football now for over 100 years, so of getting over the hump in the playoffs, and Coach Haley kind of laid the foundation. I was fortunate to coach with him. You know, I volunteered, worked my way up the ladder a little bit with him. He won the school's first state championship in 95. I went to some area schools. I was head coach at a county school across town. Was fortunate once again to come back here in 04 with Coach Kevin Wallace, who had coached under Coach Haley as well. And we went on a pretty good march through beginning in 2011 through 2016 when we won 5 championships with Coach Wallace, which propelled him up to St. X in Louisville. He got an opportunity to move there and turned around, and I became the head coach at Bowling Green High, and I still walk around this building, and I'm amazed that I'm here. There's a lot of pressure to continue that greatness, and We've been fortunate since I've taken over to win 3 more. There's a very high expectation in our program. The 3 of us are in great programs, and when you talk about our off season, we're finishing up our winter program. We're on spring break right now, and we're going to crank up spring practice. It's everything we do away from the field that makes us what we are, from how we structure practice to how we watch film of practice. Just a lot of the little things that Coach Haley started here beginning in 1984 that I still carry forward, but of course with the evolution of the X's and O's and how we go about our game day business. So there you have it.
All right.
I'm at a great place, just like these guys.
Well, guys, I'm excited for this discussion. I think it's an important one here. As you mentioned, you guys have been in the weight room. We've been doing all kinds of things together off the field. Now's the time, as we get into the spring and summer, that we need to test our new ideas, and we have to get this team ready to actually compete on the field. So we'll start with the philosophy behind it and the things that you believe are important as you approach putting together your install. So, John, I'll let you kick things off for us.
For us, I think the biggest thing is our participation. And we know we get 5 weeks in the spring, and we get 3 practices a week, and they're 60-minute practices, and we hold ourselves to it. So that's not a whole lot of time. And we know we need everybody there. So we just finished up our first week. We've got 64 kids on the active roster. We had 62 at practice every day. And that really allows us to really start diving in and getting things done. I'll speak from the offensive standpoint, specifically for this conversation. We believe less is more. So we have 5 passing concepts, 4 running concepts, and 3 screens. That's what we have. And we'll try to get those in completely in their entirety in this 5 weeks. And that means the first week we'll go 1 pass, 1 run, 1 screen. And we'll do the same the second week and the same the third week. And then the 4th and 5th week we have a little less to install. But our idea is that by the end of 5 weeks, we're going to put in the bare bones of everything that we need to carry us through a season, and we're going to have repped it enough and filmed it enough and graded the film enough and sent it back to the players enough that they can improve in those 5 weeks, and they can launch that into the summer and into our season. And our guys know if you're not there, you're going to get left behind, and that's just this day and age. If you want to be great, you got to show up, and that's where we start.
We're very similar to what John does. I'll even kind of go back just a tad, even though this is a little bit off subject, but we try to break everything down to seasons. And high school kids, and it doesn't matter if it's now or back when I played or anywhere in between, the more things that are in front of a kid, the more immediate it is, the more interesting it is, the more we think we can get out of them. So we're always trying to go at full speed. I have an incredible speed coach. He's also my defense coordinator. He could be a head coach anywhere, any place, Casey Poppenfuss. And what we've tried to do is, so the month of December is for us is rehab and strength. Then we go into January, and it goes basically by about 3-month periods. We go into a speed and strength, and we try to stay away from the football. Now, again, do quarterbacks throw and receivers catch? Absolutely. And we kind of follow the college model as far as the state of Indiana. Like when they can recruit, basically we can have footballs out, no equipment, just footballs. Then in the spring, so like we're back into an active stage, now we're going to be into the implementation part. So now we're speed, strength, and now football that we've kind of added into it. And a lot like Coach Merritt, we're going to, inside zone is our staple, okay? And so the first week we'll put in inside zone. We'll do 3 kind of quick games, and then we'll do 1 field. So that's on our first meeting, we kind of do that. The second day, so we get to go 2 days a week. I think you can go for 2 hours. I don't know what the rule is. We go for about 55 minutes. And again, I think what football has that the rest of the sports don't is they think more. And we try to think less. And kids, we keep a lot of kids out for football, even though it's probably the toughest sport going, or it is the toughest sport going. So we've really tried to minimize time, maximize effort and production, and not spend a lot of time on waste time or football, general football. So 1 week we're inside zone. We'll come back on Monday of next week and we'll put in outside zone, which is probably our second biggest play that we run. We'll add 3 more passing concepts, 1 field concept, and then the third week, and a lot again like Coach Merritt is that we'll basically have the nuts and bolts of our football, our offense in that third week, because on Friday we'll do everything we've implemented. Monday's an introduction day, so Monday, the third week, we'll put in mid zone. So now we've worked on an inside zone, an outside zone, and basically something where we're double teaming. So now we've worked on every blocking concept. We now have in the third week we put in screens. So now we've gotten 3 field passes, our quick games are in, and then our screens are in. So that's kind of how we do that. And I think we're 5 or 6 weeks, whatever the recruiting period is.
Well, you guys are much more fortunate than us here in Kentucky. We're a basketball state, so we've had to beg, plead, and get on our hands and knees we have a 3-week window to get 10 practices in with progressing gear as we go. So, and on top of that, I'm interested to kind of hear from you guys. We've got a lot of guys that play multiple sports. I'm going to get my basketball guys went on a state title run. They finished up runner-up. So we'll get those guys back with us, some talented people there. But we've got a number of our kids in baseball. Lacrosse has grown in Kentucky. I got a number that play lacrosse. One of my DB coaches is our head track coach, has recently taken our track program over. And I encourage our players to go run track for Coach Clark. But that means when we have these 10 practices, as we look at our schedule, we're not always going to have everybody here that we want here. They're going to be in something else. So as eager as we are as coaches right now, I just have to remind our younger guys, hey, we're going to get them back this summer. Let's work with what we've got here. So as we go through spring, I know offensively, our staff, much like you guys, and it is inside zone for us as well. They're going to go inside zone to install. We're always going to have RPOs off of that we're going to work, and always have a screen of the day that they work with. We're a big screen team. It's a way for us to get our athletes out on the edge. Quick and simple, builds off RPO game. Our next week is going to be stretch and toss, getting on the edge a little more, along with some other of their RPO and screen game off of that. And then we're at a big crossroads. We had a 4-year quarterback. We had some good offensive linemen that moved along. So we have to figure out, we feel like we might, of our 3 quarterbacks that are vying for the job, might have quarterback run game. So we didn't run our guy the past 4 years. He threw the heck out of it. And we progressed as an offense off of that, of his ability to read through and progress through an offense. So we're going to have all our quarterbacks in camp. We're excited about that, but we're not going to have all the pieces that they are handing or throwing to all the time. So we're fortunate. I'm not going to say we don't love being able to practice, but it's going to be an incomplete picture coming out of spring. And then even June, we're battling with baseball and basketball there. July, we have a 2-week dead period in Kentucky, June 25th through July 9th. When we come back July 10th is when we'll have everybody here, and we'll truly begin to figure out, who we think is going to fall in where and what are we going to be as a team. But we have the foundation of our defense already installed. We have the foundation of our offense already installed. I'm blessed to have a great special teams coach. So he is detailed and is involved as both of our offensive and defensive staffs. And we'll have a handle on who's going to be where, who has shown themselves through our spring drills. So as I listen to you guys, I'm really excited for you. You're gonna come out with some really good answers coming out of your spring. We usually come out with a lot of questions, but I just always say over and over, it's high school football. You're going to graduate a great group of guys. You got guys waiting their turn to be a part of it. And, we've proven the last 2 years that even through the season, we're going to progress, as an offense, as a defense, and then move personnel around on top of it. So I've just learned as I've gotten older, particularly coming out of our pandemic year, just kind of go with the flow, hold true to the foundations of your program. But where Coach Hart was talking about maybe not so much time of we shrunk things down so much when we had to that we proved you can get a lot done efficiently, particularly with the video we have now that we can share. Our kids that are in baseball and lacrosse, they're going to get those huddle cut-ups of what we're putting in each day and installing in the spring. And those kids that are invested in our program, they're going to make sure they're watching that. And they'll talk with the coaches, hey, I saw where y'all did this in practice yesterday. So I wish I was in good a shape as you guys there.
Well, really, we end up with about the same amount of spring practices. They just spread it over more time. But, you know, one of the best things we did, we had a great quarterback competition about 4 years ago. And what we'd do is come in and the quarterbacks would turn the sheet upside down. So they didn't know what team they were going to be on. So whatever sheet they picked up, and they had basically our install for the plays that we were running, the players. And so one would grab purple, one would grab white, but they didn't know which one they were grabbing. And we took off. It was really, really good. So our coaches came together and go like, hey, let's do that for everybody. So we started mixing up. So when you say we have a lot of answers, man, we have a purple, white, and a gray team. So we have a lot more kids than most. We have about 130 sophomore, juniors, and seniors. But they don't know what team they're on. We've got a sophomore who's got a bunch of offers, offensive lineman. He was with our gray team. And everybody goes like, what's he doing with the gray team? We're doing install, man. You're walking through plays. It don't matter who you are or where you are. And I thought that was a huge change for us, is by making a quarterback have the third string guard in front of him, even when we go live in the summer. So we moved it all the way up until our first game. So there are no starters named until our first game. And the competition, it created a lot more competition for us. For quarterbacks, now, again, some kids, the Vercumber kid, the kid that's got the Division I offers, he's probably got a pretty good idea he's going to be playing. But he's playing against a different group of people all the time. So that was one thing we did add that I thought was terrific.
Mark, you guys use signature championship rings for your rings, as you guys have won your state championship. Talk to us a little bit about the experience with them and what you like most about it.
We picked them up in 2015. Our previous championships to that, we used a more local company. We didn't feel like we were getting much bang for the buck. Coach Wallace at the time reached out to Signature, and it's been a great relationship ever since. Price is a big thing. You mentioned it earlier. Their prices are always better than competitive, and that becomes very pricey in our program because we buy every ring for our kids and don't ask anything from them. I've got a director of football operations, Coach Dotson. He immediately gets in contact with a rep for Signature, and he and I work together to design the rings, and we can be pretty picky. They're easy to deal with. This year's order, the young lady he was working with, she called in February and said, hey, your rings are ready. And we were fired up for about 6 hours, and then she called back and she said, they don't look right. We're going to redo all of them. So it took a little longer to get them, but they're outstanding. I'm not a big ring person. I don't wear it around, but I did bring mine today. We're very proud of them. It is a great memento to have. They're easy to work with. The quality of the rings, always top-notch. And if there are any problems, rarely, but if there's a misspelling or it's sized, it's easy to ship them back. They get them back to us quickly. Every year I'm like, I wonder if we win it, I'm like, I wonder if Signature's going to be who we work with again. But it's a no-brainer when we look at the other companies. And there's so many out there. My emails explode with ring companies when we win it. And it's a no-brainer for us. We work with Signature.
I want to talk about multi-sport guys because that's something we've really figured out. When I got here to Smet Jesuit, I walked into a situation with a state championship soccer team, a state championship hockey team that's won 3 since I've been here, a state championship lacrosse team, a baseball team that won 1 in 2019 and is always in at least the round of 8, and a track team that's coming close to knocking on the door. And I thought, how am I going to get this done? And so, I told you I got 64 active kids. Our freshmen haven't gotten here yet. We're expecting about another 35 of them. We'll be around 100, which is where we like to be. But we have 58 of those guys play spring sports. Okay, but 58 of those guys play spring sports, and they were all at our practices this week. And the way we do that is we come in and we go for an hour before school. We've got a great breakfast program. The folks that are in our cafeteria are unbelievable. Our kids come in, they shower, they eat breakfast, they get to class. And we film the entire practice with our Huddle Focus camera. And the first year I asked my strength coach, I said, I want you to watch 2 of these practices, and I want you to tell me our training load. And what we want it to be is about equivalent to a PE class. And I said, if I'm training them too much, you want to tell me to dial it back, and I want to be at about the level of a PE class. And we've worked out with our PE department that if our guys say, hey, my legs are tired, they can take PE off that day. Okay, and that balances it right back out. And then all my spring coaches are good. They're like, hey, we're good with it. The parents also love it because I put our spring practices on the same dates as the open college evals. So college coaches just come wandering down on our field and can evaluate our players, and we basically get a free mega camp for our kids and our parents on our own campus. The parents love that, so my parents support it, and they always get them there on time. And they don't know what colleges are coming what day because I won't tell them. I refuse to tell. But if they come and look through the fence, you just see a couple of those guys standing over there, and that's good enough for them. And so it really has created a culture where my spring sports coaches like that we do it. They understand what we're trying to do. They understand that we're going to encourage all of our kids to play, basically, and fill out those rosters, and they're going to play at a championship level. My parents love it. My kids love it. And so it's been a real win-win for all of us doing it that way. And then I convinced my AD, this is my biggest secret in the hole. I'm making sure he's not here listening to me. I convinced my AD that at the end of the season, he should throw a happy hour and thank all those spring coaches for me. And they come in, they have a good old time at the end of the season, and I remind them, hey, you're getting this because of me, fellas. And that's kind of how we've done it, and it's been great.
Now we need, my son-in-law came out one time in an IU sweatshirt to one of our workouts. And our kids going like, IU's over there, IU's. I could tell they all were excited. I didn't tell them a damn thing. We just stayed with it.
I don't know if our spring coaches would be as excited about us going in the morning. I'd love to practice in the morning, but I always worry. I mean, you're having success with it, so that's making me think we could probably do it. But
reframing it as a PE class made all the difference in the world.
I mean, I'm battling to get some of our kids to school, so it's like
right.
You know,
I understand
like,
that.
Yeah, and we all do. And those turn out to be my favorite when they come out of the back end, their senior year. But particularly our baseball coach, it's a headbutt all the time to get our football players. We have in-school weightlifting. We're fortunate to have that. Our quarterbacks coach, he was trained at both Alabama, Auburn, has a great background in weight training, speed training, and even though he's putting together an NCAA-type workout, our basketball and baseball coaches, they're old school.
They're old school.
You're going to mess your shot up. You can't swing the bat, and it drives me nuts. But that's what we're dealing with some on that end. So I got to play nice. And
right, for sure.
When they're in season, when we're sharing kids. And at the end of the day, I don't want to put the kid in an uncomfortable situation. I want them to play as many sports as they want to play. And I always just say, hey, the grown-up people have to work this out for you. So, and we do. So, but I admire you can do that.
We kind of had the same challenge when I got here with spring sport kids. Matter of fact, it was a rule when I got here. They could not do football workouts. Well, I just looked over and I go like, you see the whole sprint team? If they find out that Notre Dame's at our practice,
right,
and we're going to crush those other sports. And I don't want to do that. I want them to feel involved. And I said, anytime they have a game, if they're sore, nothing's required. You come if you want to be there. And like Coach Merritt said, our attendance is almost flawless. I'd say 98%. But, one of our best players coming back is a really good baseball player. They played late last night, and he wasn't here this morning, and I was happy he wasn't here. I mean, if you need the rest, you need the break, man, just do it. But I think they think there's value. We have fun. It's fast-paced, and there's no conditioning. We really don't condition at all.
No, we have zero conditioning. Now, I will say, when I started coaching 20 years ago, I used to try to install – I had 30 route combinations I tried to put in, and I never made it. I never got them all in. I don't think I ever got past 20. And then I was always mad at the ones I didn't have. And I always felt a sense of loss at some point in October. Oh, I wish I had that. And when I scaled it back and said, you know what, I'm not doing that anymore, it made everybody's retention better. It made everybody more on point with what we were doing. And I think it made everybody, including me, more excited about what we could do because we all can do it. And like you, Coach, we rep a lot of guys. Whoever's there, we rep everybody in the spring. We rep everybody in the summer. When we go to 7-on-7 in the summer, we don't try to win. We try to play everybody. We try to play everybody. My freshman quarterback who doesn't know anything yet, man, he's going to be in there throwing interceptions, and we're just going to film it and learn and film it and learn and film it and learn.
It hurts my eyes sometimes when I see some of them out there, but yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't call anything anymore, so I'm totally neutral and sticking my nose in everybody's business on offense, defense, and special teams. And sometimes I'm saying the same thing, like, why is he out there? But it is important this time of year and through those summer months that everybody's getting in the mix to see. So, that's the only way we're going to find out. And that's why even this spring, when we don't have everybody, there's still guys we're going to get a good look at and see what their increased strength has paid off for them, and are they ready to go? So,
I'll take off here. Some of the things we do technology wise. One is I hire a guy who's great at technology, which is not me. So we have one guy runs our Twitter account, one guy does our Huddle account, and I thought this was unique. So we won the state championship. We lost 6 varsity coaches to coordinators or head coaches. So a lot of our guys kind of moved on, and some of the great ones stayed, and we lost a couple of them. So we hired a new offensive coordinator, and he had been coaching at University of Indianapolis. And where we had done install and all those pieces were together and stuff, and we thought we were very organized with it, he started sending the install with the videos at least the night before, and we're in the spring. And I thought, dang, that's a heck of an idea. And so he had a little bit of a description on it. It kind of had the playbook from Huddle, plus it had the Huddle plays that we ran. So I thought that was a great piece for our kids to kind of, the ones who are really, really serious about it and want to know what's going on the next day, they already knew. And man, they were asking really intelligent questions. So at first when he said he was going to do it, I'm thinking old school, like, okay, young guy's got a lot of time on his hand. But man, after I heard the conversations between the kids and some with me, I thought that's a good piece.
We've been on that since COVID, Coach, and COVID taught me so much. I hated it, but I learned so much from it. And my last week of COVID, my team was eliminated from the playoffs because we only had Zoom practices, and then we went out and played a game. And that was the craziest thing I've ever done, right? But I learned so much from it. And since then, every week, even during the season, every one of the installs that I make is a video. And it's a video of me like this format. I call it YouTube style. I put in the plays from the Huddle playbook. I put in film clips and splice them in. And I send them out exactly what we're going to do. And the kids see the script, and they always get it at least a day before, usually 2 days before. And so like in this spring, I'll send out tonight the script for next week, but they won't have practice until Tuesday, and they'll get to see it and know what's going on. And then we also use our Huddle Focus Cam, I think, really well. It's got those 2 side views that really focus in at about the 25-yard line. And so anything that we're doing that's technical, that's technique, like my offensive line always works on the 20-yard line, either facing into the press box or facing away from the press box. So we don't need another camera out there, but we get that perfect view of them from behind or coming into the screen. And we can coach, because we're going to rep fast in this install in the spring. We're not going to stop and put people's hands in the right spot and stop and work on your 6-inch step. But my offensive line coach, he'll take that home and he'll slow it down, and then he'll make his own cut-up video and send it out to his line and say, look at this, look at your technique, look at that. And so then we get the best of both because we use that technology. And the thing that I love about it is sending it out the way we do is it goes right to those kids' phones, and I know they look at their phone. I know they're looking at their phone, and if it's our stuff, I sent out the first install video for the spring, and I came to school one morning, and it was 7:30 a.m., and I'm watching kids getting out of the parking lot watching my video, and I was like, oh yeah, we're good to go.
I'll just echo both of you. I've got, on my staff, I've got guys that handle our huddle technology very well, and our kids expect it. If we have any kind of technical breakdown and they don't get their huddle juice the night before, we're going to film practice. We film with a drone. So I post it as soon as I walk in the building. I get the chip from our pilot, and our kids are looking at practice film. So they're already, when we critique them before practice the next day, they already know when it's coming. Coach, it's getting ready to come up next play. Here's what I did. They expect it. But at the same time, they also want their dose of what's going on tomorrow. What are we working on? What's the practice structure? And particularly with install through the spring and through the meat of summer, as you said, they're on that phone. And that's how they learn now. That's how we've still got some that need to get out on the field. They're more spatial. We're going to cover that with them. But so many of them, we have a handful that struggle so much academically that we have to outlaw them from huddle during the school day because they would rather watch opponent film, practice film, or game plan than, oh my gosh, you're in an English class. You don't need to be on huddle. So, it's a joke with some of ours, but that's the generation we're dealing with. And even though that's not my cup of tea, I know that's how they connect, and it makes things so much more efficient. As I said, when we came out of that 2020 year, it increased our efficiency, and that's another way to do it. But actually having coaches that can put those together, that's a godsend. So
It is.
All right, guys. This was a great conversation, a lot of insight shared there. I'm going to go around the horn here to wrap this up and ask you for your one tip you would share with our coaches out there that you think would make the biggest difference to them having a successful install here in the spring and in the summer. So we'll start with Coach Hart.
Gosh, it's a great question. I'm really coach-oriented, and we hired a new O-line coach. The previous one went to become an offense coordinator. And when we hired him, as I interviewed other coaches, so it's close, but it's not exactly the subject you're talking on. But when I hired him, the first thing he told me was I almost turned it down. And I go, yeah, okay, tell me why. And he goes, you didn't have enough expectations for me. And I thought, man, the young coaches, if I could tell them to do one thing, well, for us head coaches, is demand our young coaches do details, do all the extra. The four of us, have done all the dumbest details in the world, and it made us appreciate everything. How I learned, people go like, well, you're a defensive lineman. How did you learn how to teach quarterbacks? I went to camps and worked for, back then it was $100 a day or $100 a camp. And I'd find the best quarterback coach that I knew in the country, and I'd go work the camp. I'd deliver coffee for him, but just so I could learn. So I guess that's my big tip of the day is man, we need to expect more out of them, and it can be efficient time. It doesn't have to be day and night. And then young people need to figure out that the work ethic that caused us three to be successful, us four to be successful, it comes from that.
Awesome stuff. Coach Spader, what do you have for us?
Well, I think we've hit on it, each of us, in talking about it. But when we're talking about install, I always go back to, and it goes back to Coach Haley when I started coaching. He was an offensive coach. We ran the triple option back then. But I'm a firm believer that whatever unit you're coaching, they have to be able to answer throughout a season. What do we hang our hat on? And, Coach Hart mentioned inside zone with his team. It's the same with us. You could turn the lights out and our kids could run inside zone. So when we're going through install, I think there has to be a big emphasis on what's the foundation of what you do offensively, defensively, special teams. We'll build off of that. We can add passing concepts down the road, but what our kids need to hear from our coaches, from us, from our program, this is what we do. Here's what we have to be really good at in those crucial times during the year when we need a first down or need to have a stop or need a big play on special teams. What are we going to do here? And your kids already know it. There's no big question mark. I always say it's not a magic act. It's all the work we put in so that you can do those basic things, and all the fundamentals and everything that feed into that. That's what I think should be most emphasized, particularly this time of year when you're installing. So not having that play sheet that looks like a Waffle House menu, but here's our kids know, here's what page we're on, here's what we're really good at.
Coach Merritt, you get to wrap it up for us.
Wow, that's an honor. I'm gonna agree with both of these guys. I think when it comes to install, you've got to know who you are and decide who your team's really going to be. And it can't be everything. You got to decide what you're going to be good at and what you really want to be good at. And then you take that and you look at how many days you have and how much time you have, and you divide it into equal parts, and you always leave a couple days left at the end for stuff to go wrong and you got to fix it up. And then you try to teach what you can in that time. And then I think Coach Hart was exactly right. You got to empower those assistant coaches and those young guys to teach their part of it, and they got to know what it is. So you have to tell them enough ahead of time that they can really get after it and teach their part. I've got a young assistant coach, a guy who played for me, and now he's back coaching for us. And I told him a week ago, on one particular route that I wanted our receivers, if the corner's just playing them way over the top, I want our receiver to just snap down and our quarterback will just throw it to him right there. And sure enough, we did that on Wednesday in install. Man, I was so excited. I ran over and hugged the coach. I didn't even congratulate the kid. I went straight to the coach because I knew he taught him. And you got to see that in your install. When you see those things happening and your assistant coach is taking charge and pushing that vision forward and everyone's going the same direction, then you're going to be on to something really good.
Guys, great insight into this topic today and installing and all the things that you'd offer along the way. I appreciate every single one of you taking time and want to wish all of you the best of luck here in 2025 as you defend a state championship.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
Whether it's shifting schedules, mixing in competition, or just knowing when to back off and let kids be kids, these guys are showing what championship programs do when no one's watching. If you got something out of this episode, be sure to share it with your coaching network. And as always, Champions is brought to you by Signature Championship Rings, where your legacy is our mission. Until next time, keep leading, keep grinding, and keep building champions.